everybody. I'm Bryan Sullivan, Director of Product for GitHub Advanced Security.
Hi, and I'm Brittany O'Shea, also a part of our GitHub Advanced Security team. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much. So we're going to talk to you today about GitHub Advanced Security. But first, we're going to talk to you about buying your dream home. Imagine buying a home, and this is a place where you're going to build your future. At first, you move in, and everything seems perfect. But over time, little issues start to surface. Maybe you get a dripping faucet or a crack, maybe a loose roof shingle. You know, each of these problems seems insignificant, super easy to put off. I'll get to that later. But what happens? Life happens, and later never comes. Weeks turn into months, and those things that were small problems are now becoming pervasive, and fixing it all isn't just a weekend project anymore. Now you've got a full-blown crisis. And that takes expertise to fix that you don't have. And it's hard for you to find, and if you can find it, it's going to be extremely expensive for you to fix. Maybe this sounds familiar to some of you.
This scenario Bryan just mentioned perfectly mirrors what happens between security and software development. We delay fixing vulnerabilities, and for good reason. We have new and exciting things we want to build. But before you know it, just like with these home repairs, this compounds over time, and we end up having a massive backlog of security debt that we have to deal with. And you already know the narrative that comes next with that. Applications are the #1 attack vector, year after year after year, and breaches are costly. And changing this is really hard because many organizations like yours are up against a mountain of security debt and competing priorities with tens or hundreds of thousands of vulnerabilities to fix. And you simply don't have the time or the in-house expertise to fix these efficiently. At GitHub, we're committed to changing this narrative. We want to make security synonymous with software development and create a new reality with AI where a vulnerability found means a vulnerability fixed. So let's take a look back at the last year as a way to ground ourselves in today's conversation. Last year, we shipped more than 100 enhancements to help you more easily and better secure your code. This includes features like Copilot secret scanning, which helps you to detect unstructured secrets. Now, if you've used secret scanning before, you know that it's always been a powerful tool for detecting structured secrets. Think your AWS or your Azure key. And in fact, together, big round of applause to everyone in the room, you've prevented more than 3.3 million secrets from being leaked across 300 token types. You did that. But what about generic passwords? Reliably detecting these can be really challenging without raising a lot of false positives that your team would have to sort through. Okay, so I know we all just hopefully ate lunch, maybe had a little dessert. I want to liven this up a little bit. Let's play a little game. Raise your hand if you've seen real versus cake. I know, they have some crazy ones, right? Like whole rooms now. Now, keep your hand raised if you think you could win a similar game, true positive versus false positive. Yes, there's going to be a test. Think you could spot it?
No one's raising their hand.
We've got a few confident ones?
Okay. Let's couple.
So we're going to put some strings up here, and we're going to see if you can actually decide what's real or what's fake. So take a look beside me. We've got 2 different passwords here. One's a real, it's a true positive, and one of these is a fake or false positive. To me, they both look suspicious. I personally couldn't tell. They both have uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols, and they look like real strings. Does anyone feel like they could tell? Okay, let's zoom out and get a little bit more context here. Okay, these both still look super suspicious to me. One is getting assigned to an auth token, the other one to pass. I can't yet tell. Did any of those few confident people that felt like they could win still feel like they can? All quiet? Okay, let's zoom out a little bit more and see what's next. Okay, I think I finally personally have enough context to tell. Well, the one on the left, as you can see, is actually part of a set of instructions. It's not a realistic password at all. It's just a realistic placeholder, where the one on the right is actually a real password. And these aren't fake. These are real-world examples. When looking for structured patterns to unstructured patterns, there's a lot of different false positives that are extremely difficult to weed out with conventional secret scanners. And this is where the real magic of Copilot comes in, because it's not just about finding potential passwords. As you can see, that's easy. The power lies in how Copilot minimizes the false positive rate and understands the context behind each secret. Without that context, without that accuracy, your team could be spending hundreds of hours digging through tons of different false positives and having to manually determine if it's genuine or not. And by the no raised hands in the room, I'm guessing low confidence or desire to want to do that. Well, with Copilot, GitHub Advanced Security achieves the lowest false positive rate out of anyone in the industry, fewer than half the false positives of the next tool. And that's why I'm extremely pleased to announce that this vision that we talked about last year is now a reality with the general availability of Copilot secret scanning. Meaning, if you haven't already, if you're a GitHub Advanced Security customer, you can use this now. If you want to try it, you can simply turn it on under Code Security Settings, and just in a click, you'll start detecting these generic secrets that might have leaked across your organization. And secret scanning, as you know, isn't the only thing we showed last year, did we, Brian?
No, no. In fact, our big announcement last year was a preview of Copilot Autofix for pull requests. And what Copilot Autofix and pull requests does is help keep you from accidentally introducing new security problems before you merge them to main. It's not just about finding the problems, it does that, but it also provides you suggestions for how to customize that code and the code snippets to actually fix the problems. I'm happy now to say that Copilot Autofix is also now generally available for all advanced security customers and for public repos. I don't know, let's take a look at where we are with Copilot Autofix today. All right, so I'm going to move over to my demo station. And here in this repo, I recently added this pull request. Let me go ahead and open it up. And in this pull request, I added some new code here. I'll highlight it. That is going to parse some arbitrary XML provided by a user. Like, I mean, from a security perspective, what could possibly go wrong? Parsing arbitrary XML, right? One of the things that could go wrong is that I did not anticipate writing this code that someone could potentially provide malicious XML. Maybe XML that has a malicious, malformed inline DTD definition. And if they designed that attack payload correctly, that malicious DTD, they could do all kinds of terrible things to us. They could DOS us. They could even steal private data from the server. Actually, I've got a great story to tell about this. So in the original version of this talk, this was not an XML expansion attack. It was a SQL injection attack. And so we were rehearsing it. And Kyle Daigle, who's the GitHub CEO, he was watching the rehearsal. And he was like, Brian, get a more interesting vulnerability, please. And I'm like, Kyle, what are you talking about? Like, SQL injection is still incredibly prevalent. Have you seen how many SQL injection CVEs there were last year? It's still incredibly critical. It was responsible for the worst cyber attack of 2023. And by the way, it's a great example to show that what we can do with Copilot Autofix. It fixes it really, really well. So Kyle, we got to do SQL injection. And Kyle was like, no, dude, seriously, do something else. So that's why I'm showing XXE in here instead of SQL injection. But for the record, we fixed SQL injection with Copilot really, really well. All right, back to the demo. So in this case, CodeQL has identified this code I'm asking to merge has an entity expansion attack, and it's alerting me. And if that's all that it did, what would it do? Like, at this point, as a developer, I would take the rest of the day to go research what an XML entity expansion attack is. I'd try to figure out the right way to fix it in my code base. But look at what Copilot Autofix is giving me. It's giving me an enormous head start. It's telling me about the vulnerability as it relates to my exact code base. It's not just providing some generic boilerplate info. And better still, it is giving me the exact code snippet that I need to fix the problem. I can just take this suggestion as it is. I can just press this commit suggestion button, or if I want to go tweak it, I can press the edit button and tweak it. But either way, the time savings here are incredible. So we previewed this at Universe last year. It's now generally available, but we did not stop there. So Copilot Autofix at pull request time is great for preventing new vulnerabilities, but we all probably have some issues that are already in our code base. So now I'm going to move from here. I'm going to go up to look at all the historic problems that I have already discovered in my repo. And I've got a bunch of them here, as you can see. I have an sserv. I have another entity expansion attack. I have some code injection. I have some deserialization problems. I'm pretty sure there is SQL injection in here too. I'm just going to very quickly click through a handful of these, and you can see for each of them, Copilot Autofix is giving me customized guidance, as well as, I'll open just another couple, not just the guidance, but also the exact code snippet right there. And again, pick one more here, code injection. Once again, I can see customized guidance and a code snippet, and I can just commit it right there to fix the problem. Fantastic. So both flavors of Copilot Autofix, both at PR time and for historic alerts, are both generally available right now. So if you're an advanced security customer, you already have these. And just like secret scanning and Dependabot and CodeQL, we've also made Copilot Autofix free for public repos. So whether you're using it for your work, or you're using it for an open source project, or both at the same time, please, please go try out Copilot Autofix and let us know what you think. Now, Copilot Autofix has come a long way since we previewed it last year. We now support all languages that CodeQL supports, so Java, JavaScript, C#, C and C++, Python. We saw how big Python is now. And more than 90% of CodeQL alerts can now get an autofix suggestion. But it's not just about how many kinds of alerts you can fix. It's about how well and how fast you can fix them. And we see that on average, when developers use autofix to fix a vulnerability, they do it 3 times faster than when they do it by hand. And that is just the average across all vulnerabilities. Like the big ones, cross-site scripting across all languages, on average 7 times faster to fix it with autofix. SQL injection, I told you I was going to come back to that. Across all languages, fixed 12 times faster. It really does fix it really, really well.
I'm so excited by this data, and I'm so excited by how it's really showing how it's helping us to change the way we remediate vulnerabilities and show the impact it's having on our organizations and the time it's freeing up for us. But as you know, statistics only give you a sneak peek into how teams are really actually facing vulnerabilities in their day-to-day. And they don't show or fully reflect the complexities you face every day. Now, we'd planned to have Linda Fay, the Director of Product Security at Asurion, here with us today. Asurion, if you haven't used them before, is a global tech care company. So I'm hard on my tech. I've placed many screens with them. And they have more than 23,000 employees and 700 stores and 8,000 repositories. And Linda and her team are tasked with securing those at scale with GitHub. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to join us today, but if you're curious to learn more about their story and hear how they've combated some of those scale challenges, please visit her colleague's Eric session tomorrow at 10:30 in Gallery 308 to learn more. But when I kind of piece out that kind of 8,000 repository challenge, that's the same challenge many of you in this room face today. Features like autofix are great when you think about scaling to a couple of findings that you might need to fix. But the reality is many of you are challenged to manage and remediate across scale over hundreds or thousands of repos. Maybe even for some of you across hundreds or thousands of organizations too. Last year, we helped you to make this easier when it comes to detecting with features like code security configurations and buildless analysis, which make it easier for you to set up GitHub Advanced Security at scale. But we knew coming into this year you needed the same support with remediation. In a perfect world, after all, where you only have, as I said, those few alerts to fix, it's easy to see that clear path into how you leverage Copilot Autofix to remediate them. But the reality is, many teams have hundreds or thousands of alerts, and it's overwhelming. And even with a tool like Copilot Autofix at your hands, the question arises, where to start? If we go back to that house example, it's like, if you have a roof that could collapse in a year, or an electrical issue that could cause a fire any day now, you want to fix the electrical issue today. And I know for security managers in this room, you're faced with some of those same trade-offs, and you don't want your developers guessing on what they should fix and where they should prioritize. You need a way to zone in on the most critical vulnerabilities for them. And you want to empower them with clear guidance that says, hey, I know we have these 1,000 vulnerabilities, but right now, today, I want you to focus on these 10. And that's where I'm proud to announce a new way to do this with GitHub Advanced Security Security Campaigns. Security Campaigns helps you prioritize your tech debt and seamlessly work with your downstream teams to eliminate it for once and for all. So let's see it in action. I'm going to put my security manager hat on, and I'm going to go into the tab that I live most, my security tab. Now here, many of you are probably familiar with the security overview. It's where you manage your risk posture over time, you get insights. But there's a small breakdown that happens here. Once you have these insights and you want to act on this, you have no way to communicate to your developers to take action. We're changing this, as I said, with our new campaigns functionality. So imagine you're like me and you've got 170,000, give or take, code scanning alerts to work through in your organization. You can now either filter down by repository, tool, rule, which could be a type of vulnerability class, severity, or team, and start creating a campaign right from the alert page. Or you can drop down to the campaign side and leverage out-of-the-box campaigns from GitHub, which are going to help you target things like critical alerts, or MITRE top 10 known exploitable vulnerabilities, or certain types of common vulnerability classes we see that we know organizations are challenged with. And when you want to go ahead and start a campaign, it's as easy as either taking the out-of-box suggestion description or customizing it with specialized organization-related context that you want to give your teams. You can then choose a date. Let's say, for example, you have a big ship coming up in the next month, and you want to make sure you burn down these security issues before doing that. You can go ahead and set that deadline for your team, and you can choose a campaign manager. Maybe that's you, maybe that's a peer, maybe that's someone on the actual developer's team. But they can manage that campaign and track progress over time. And in just a few seconds, your teams will be alerted to the kind of priorities that you want to manage across your organization when it comes to your security risk. So while this creates, I want to jump into a campaign I created last week. So this was a campaign to really target those MITRE top 10 known exploitable vulnerabilities. You can see the team has 32 days left to work through those. They've already started making progress, closing 8 alerts. The team's also empowered with auto fixes directly for all of these areas, so they don't have to manually go back. Let's take an example, one of the first alerts that are still open. The team doesn't have to manually go back and understand, hey, this vulnerability came from over a year ago last year. Maybe it's not even my code. They don't have to understand how to do that or work through that. An autofix will be generated for them and give that same direction that Bryan showed earlier directly within their code that they can click through and accept. And I think this one is loading, but while it does, we'll flip back to seeing live. Okay. I'm so excited for the power of autofix and campaigns and how it's going to help change our tech debt over time. But I know there's a few more types of risks we want to be thinking about. So I'll hand it back to Bryan to dig into that. And I'm thrilled, though, before I do that, to show that this is available today. So if you have any desire in your organization to get started, Go ahead and try it out. We're very excited for that.
Awesome, awesome. So Brittany just showed you our new feature, security campaigns for CodeQL. And at GitHub, we're huge fans of CodeQL. We know many of you are too. But we also know that many of you have very diverse code bases. And even though CodeQL supports a ton of popular languages, we know that many of you are also developing in some languages that CodeQL doesn't scan today, like maybe Ada or VB. Maybe you've got some COBOL repos hanging around. And you know what? You need to make sure that that code is secure too. Now, for years, we have provided serif extensibility for advanced security code scanning that helps you meet this need. So already today, nothing new here. You can plug in any arbitrary tool that outputs conforming serif, and you can see that tool's results integrated directly into your GitHub developer experience exactly the same way that you get with CodeQL. You get alerts for newly detected vulnerabilities and pull requests. You get alerts for historic debt that's already present in your code base. And now also with campaigns, you can create campaigns to facilitate burning down large amounts, systemic classes of historic security debt that these partner tools find. But what have we been talking about all day? Found means fixed. Remediation is so important to us. We don't want GitHub to be your home of mountains of unfixed security debt. We want GitHub to be your home of found means fixed. And that extends beyond CodeQL. We want GitHub to be your home of found means fixed, no matter what analysis tools you're using. So we are thrilled to announce Copilot Autofix for partners. This is the expansion of GitHub Copilot Autofix to tools beyond CodeQL. So starting today, we're introducing a public preview for Copilot Autofix integration with open source tool ESLint. And coming soon, we have integrations with JFrog SAST and Black Duck's Polaris platform powered by Coverity. We are incredibly excited for these initial collaborations. And believe me, these are just the initial collaborations to showcase the power of Copilot Autofix to help you fix more vulnerabilities. Not just find, but fix faster, with less effort, not just with CodeQL, but with a wide spectrum of developer tools. We will absolutely continue to refine and optimize and add these integrations. And to our future, we envision where Copilot Autofix is going to interface with an array of security tools. It's going to continue to streamline your workflows, improve your security posture. We're just incredibly excited about the possibilities this is opening up for all of you in the developer community, and cannot wait to continue building on these integrations as we evolve and expand the capabilities of Autofix here. I am going to show you in action right now with ESLint. All right, so I have another test demo, or another test repo here. And in this repo, I have set up an ESLint action. I'm highlighting it right here. Again, nothing new here. You can do this right now. Any problems this finds, it is going to raise an alert right on the affected line of code in the PR, just like CodeQL. So I will go over to my PR that I just created and open that up. And again, you can see in this case, in this code that I committed right here, I'm going to highlight it for you. ESLint has found a problem. In fact, actually, I should poll you all. Is anybody already today using ESLint, or anybody using any other tools integrated into advanced security? A couple. Most of you are getting what you like from CodeQL. That's cool. But it's here for you. So again, in this pull request that I merged in some new TypeScript code, ESLint ran. ESLint found some problems and made some alerts for me. So again, nothing new here. But what you'll notice is new is that you're not just getting boilerplate information about this problem. Now I'm getting Copilot Autofix information about this problem that is very customized to me, customized to my code, my files, my methods, exactly the same way that I get for Copilot Autofix for CodeQL. And better still, I also get the exact customized code snippets to fix these problems that I can apply with a single button click here to commit the suggestion, again, just like I can for CodeQL. Again, Copilot Autofix for partner tools is in public preview right now. So those of you who raised your hands that you're using ESLint can literally go try it out for yourself right now. It's turned on by default for you. And we will expand this to our partners JFrog SAST and Black Duck Polaris very, very soon. And again, we expect this is going to be just the beginning. We want to keep expanding to more and more tools. So developers out there, if there is an analysis tool that you're using, and you want to see an autofix capabilities for us, let us know. We want to hear what the ones are that you want to see the most. Maybe you're not just a developer. Maybe you're a commercial tool vendor. Maybe you're an open source tool maintainer, and you want to know more. Reach out to us too. We would love to talk to you about getting you in to have autofix work with your tool. We are super, super eager to talk with you. All right, we have one more really exciting preview to show you today. We've said it a bunch of times today. Our goal is for GitHub to be your hub of remediation, where found means fixed is a reality. We have shown you how Copilot Autofix integrates with CodeQL, how it now works with partner tools and open source static analysis tools. But now we are taking this one step further by applying the same principle to supply chain security alerts. So raise your hand, please, if you use Dependabot today. Oh, lots of you. Love it, love it, love it. So you know, most of the time, when Dependabot detects a known vulnerable open source package, it detects a minor update that fixes the issue. Literally, it's just like drop in the new version over top of the old. It's API compatible. Everything works fine, totally seamlessly, most of the time. However, that's not all the time. Sometimes a major update is needed. And that major update isn't API compatible with the version that you're using. So that means if you did just do it, if you did just drop in the new major version over top of the one that you're using now, your build will break because it's not compatible anymore. And until now, your choice was either, well, I'll go manually rewrite the code, or I guess I'll just live with this vulnerability. But we don't want that. This is where Copilot Autofix for Dependabot comes in. And Copilot Autofix for Dependabot is going to suggest the code changes to your code to help you handle those breaking dependency updates. Let's take Log4j as an example. Who still, I know I do, who here still has scars from the Log4j thing? Yeah, a lot of us. How bad was it? It was awful. Remember, especially it was awful if you didn't have Dependabot at the time. Imagine trying to find all of your code across your entire enterprise that was using a vulnerable version of Log4j. I remember in the heat of it, there were multiple new attempted fixes coming out every day, and we had to keep updating to it. And that was such a pain, even with simple drop-in replacements. Imagine how much worse that would have been if the only way to solve that problem would have been with to go to Log4j v3 that's not API compatible with v2. You'd have had all that same work that you had, how terrible it was, plus, on top of that, making rewrites to your own code to fix those compatibility problems. And you'd have been doing it under the incredible time pressure to get everything fixed before the attackers exploited you. It would have been a disaster. So when this happens in the future, with Autofix for Dependabot, you will be able to update across those major breaking versions, or those major versions with breaking changes, just as quickly as you do today for your normal minor updates. You'll handle that emergency Log4j v3 scenario, not in months, but minutes. Let's see it in action. All right, so back here, I have some TypeScript code here. And it is using a pretty old version of Lodash. So it's using 3.10.1. And 3.10.1 has a ton of vulnerabilities. I'm not even going to list them because it's got a ton of vulnerabilities in it. And so Dependabot now is saying, hey, Brian, instead of 3.10.1, you should really get to 4.17.21. Get to this one. It's going to be much more secure for you. And that is great. But there's a problem. Because Lodash 4.17.21, the most secure version that I should be updating to, is not API compatible with 3.10.1 that I'm on now. So before Autofix for Dependabot, I couldn't just press the button to merge that PR. What I would have to do is go through my entire code base, find all the version incompatibilities, and manually fix them. But now, we do have Copilot Autofix for Dependabot, and it has already done all that work for me. It's already identified all the places in the code, I'm scrolling to show just a few of them, where I'm using the APIs that no longer exist, and it is suggesting to me the exact code changes that will refactor my code to use the new API calls. This is a huge time saver for me, especially if I'm under pressure to update this code as fast as I can because there's some critical worldwide supply chain attack. Now, we are really, really excited for this. We're super excited for Copilot Autofix for Dependabot. But really, the security uses are just the tip of the iceberg. Think about it from just in your day-to-day developer life. Maybe a new version of some SDK comes out, and you just want to update it to use some new capabilities. Or maybe you want to change to completely different components for some reason. Maybe someone in your team took a dependency on a new open source package, but oops, it had a prohibited license that you didn't realize until your legal team said, yeah, you're not really allowed to use this one. And now you've got to pull it out and replace it with something that's equivalent but has a better license. Maybe you picked a package that was fine. You picked it years ago. But since then, it's just not getting maintained anymore. And you want to switch to something that has the equivalent functionality, but is vibrant and is getting maintained. Copilot Autofix for Dependabot could suggest an entirely new equivalent for you and help you make the necessary code changes to just drop it right in. So Copilot Autofix for Dependabot is in private preview starting today, not public, so you can't just go turn it on right now. But you can go to github.com to join the waitlist for the preview. So please do that. Again, we are so excited for the future here. We are so excited for the future of Copilot Autofix for Dependabot. And we are really, really looking forward to showing you even more in the coming months.
It's so exciting to see how many different types of risks we're going to be able to address with the help of Copilot and how it's going to scale our teams. I hope our time together today has helped to cement the fact that we no longer have to accept the challenges that we've had in years past when it comes to application security. We're in a new era. We have AI, and it can help us throughout the developer lifecycle to build software stronger and safer from the ground up. So if you're like me and you want to create the reality in your organization where found means fixed, you can hop into code security configurations and turn on these features today, or sign up for that waitlist for the Dependabot Autofix like Bryan mentioned. Or you can check out some of the future sessions throughout the conference to learn a little bit more from more practitioners on how you can get started with GitHub Advanced Security. The next session coming up is Mission Copilot Autofix, Securing the World Software. It's with Nick and Nero right over in Caldwell Theater, and I promise it has a few surprises you don't want to miss. And with that, on behalf of myself and Bryan, we want to thank you as well as all the team for attending today, as well as all you do all year long to help secure the world's software. Thank you.